Hello everyone, this is Koda giving you a game between Softball, also known as Sen, versus sixJax DDE here in the Xel'Naga Caverns. DDE spawning as the red Terran player, Softball spawning as the blue Zerg. So this will be Zerg versus Terran once more here in the Xel'Naga Caverns. A pretty well-known map, perhaps one of the most balanced maps that we've seen coming out from Blizzard. This, in addition to Metalopolis, two of the maps that have made it into many of the professional high-level map pools as well as this game gets underway. Now we do have a number of options by both of these players. DDE most likely will be setting up a supply depot over here. No, not setting up the supply depot on the front door. So perhaps knowing that there will not be any or that much Zerg pressure here in the early portion of the game, quickly getting up that extractor to get that additional 1+1 food, and now getting upside down on food 11/10, and going into 13/18 food now to try to get a stronger economy underway. A supply depot has been placed down as well. Command center just continuing to just train up more SCVs, as we should be getting a barracks over here on the front door. There it is. There's that front door barracks, as Marines will be coming out of there in just a moment. Now, we won't really know what Sen's ultimate plan or purpose is until we see him go for a hatchery, extractor, or spawning pool first. At this stage, I would definitely believe it's a hatchery first, as he has a drone sitting at the 6 o'clock location with almost 300 minerals. There you go. Sen setting up, going for a fast hatchery here, and it looks like he should be also scouting out with a drone as well to figure out if his opponent is going for early marine pressure. You can see that DDE is not going for early marine pressure, instead going for a refinery. So we should be getting some gas underway in just a moment. And now you can see the upgrade to tier 2, training up a marine, and a supply depot will be added to that front door perhaps in just a little bit to try to finish off this wall-in attempt. One drone will make its way up the ramp, simply passing by that SCV there. It looks like the drone should be able to scoot on in without any real issue, but there will be a marine down here on the low ground, so not quite sure why Sen even bothered to scout at this time, as he wouldn't be able to get up that ramp at all. Knowing the timings, getting that drone up there just a little bit later, or just a little bit earlier, would have allowed him to at least see whether or not his opponent was trying to go for any gas. One marine now once again on the move, as a factory now being placed down, and we may have sixJax going into Hellions. That's what my assumption would be if he builds a reactor right now. No, not going for a reactor at all. And there we go. Now finally going for that reactor, getting a little bit delayed. So it will be a little bit of time before he's able to transfer any, or be able to swap the add-on, as the reactor takes 50 seconds to build as well. Factory takes 60 seconds, so that does tighten up the build just a little bit, as now as what Sen's units are chasing after that SCV, and the SCV will just be forced to retreat home. Back over here, two Marines finishing off that scouting drone, and now we will have that liftoff. We will have that change in position, and perhaps those Hellions getting a little bit delayed will have an effect in the long-term portion of the game. You can see that the buildings are trying to land. Will they land in time, or will the Zerglings get underneath, and the Zerglings are able to delay even further? So nicely done, as now Sen trying to get some damage onto those Marines, and it looks like the Marines are going to be able to fire from the safety and the cover behind those SCVs, and now one Zergling down to 9 hit points, trying to run off into the corner, and down it goes. We are having double Hellions now being trained up. We are getting some spine crawlers here and here as well. All it will take is one queen on the ramp in order to try to block off those Hellions from getting up there. And now one spine crawler getting in position, one spine crawler down over here as well. So if those Hellions try to run by, they'll just get impaled a couple times, and then a queen should be able to finish it off. So we can see that the Hellions quickly taking one stab there, another stab could be coming in, and sixJax with those reactored Hellions not going to be able to deal much damage at all. So 4 Hellions now on their way out, as we now are getting this command center up at the 2 o'clock position. Most likely we'll upgrade to an orbital command and get into here in just a moment. So it will be 4 Hellions making their way out. We do have some spawn larvae happening, trying to get a stronger power game going by Sen, as Sen sitting on 30 drones compared to 25 SCVs. Just 2 sets of Hellions, one at each location. Perhaps one of the queens should in fact lay down another creep tumor to try to connect these bases. It looks like the creep tumor is in fact over here. So as soon as this creep tumor is done, the creep will start to push down and make their way out throughout the rest of the map. So yeah, one creep now up over here. The creep is starting to finally spread, and those Hellions are going to be forced to pull back in just a moment. The Hellions were unable to destroy this creep tumor since it was on the high ground, and it was able to burrow with relative ease. This game just so far feels pretty slow, as Hellions are just holding Sen inside his base right now. Harvester wise 38, Harvest 37 versus 29. We are checking the tier 2. More drones are still being trained. Those queens looking to deal as much damage as possible, as now a queen or a hatchery is in place over here, making it even more difficult for those Hellions to try to even drive by to get up that ramp. Not sure what is up on that high ground either. We have one hatchery here. The Hellions looking to torch, get some damage onto the creep tumor, unable to do so, and the creep tumor is able to just spread creep even further. SCVs are being, or mules are being called down. sixJax looking to get a stronger economic lead using those mules, as he is currently behind 9 harvesters, 42 to 34. The queens are now making another push out, but they are now getting caught off of creep. That is no good for them. Those queens need to try to retreat back, make their way back, and get some damage onto those Hellions. The Hellions going to get torched, or get a nice torching in there on those Zerglings, as the Hellions are rather getting low on hit points. One queen, oh, a brilliant, beautiful transfusion by Sen, keeping that queen alive at just the last possible moment. The queens are now backing off. We are going to have some siege tank pressure as well. The siege tank pressure with those Hellions should be able to just shell off a lot of damage rather quickly. Production, we are going into 3 banelings, some Zerglings, and also seeing the Spire come into play. 9 more banelings are being hatched as well. It looks like the Marauder is going to get some damage onto the hatchery. The Queen may get some damage onto those Marauders. Let's see what's going to happen as those siege tanks able to get an easy shell blast off onto the Queen. Queen now down to 116 hit points. And now the Spinecrawlers are trying to move their way forward. It doesn't look like much is going to really happen here, as the Zerglings are now trying to push in their way as well. And the Queens are now just getting as much damage as possible, getting some damage onto those Hellions and those Marines. One Spinecrawler will be able to root in time. Zerglings unable to do very much of anything else, as the Siege Tank able to blast away at that one Spinecrawler. Spinecrawler down to 154 hit points. Queens may have to force another transfusion to try to save that, as the Zerglings should be able to finish off this last Siege Tank here. Total losses 1875 versus 1600, but no real workers killed. So 50 harvesters compared to 45 now, as we should be able to see a very easy power drone attempt by Sen, who is currently running off of 3 hatcheries, and now also going into Mutalisk. Mutalisk now joining the skies, as the Zerglings pecking apart at the rocks down here on the low ground. We are getting some bunkers and some barracks as well. sixJax hasn't been that aggressive with his expansion attempts, playing rather slowly, trying to get a small advantage anywhere he can. But he really needs to figure out how to establish another base. Otherwise, if Sen is able to establish this natural or this gold expansion here and this expansion here at the same time, Sen will be up 2 bases compared to DDE's current 2 base. Siege tanks are in a very defensive posture. We are going into some Thors as well, in addition to the missile turret upgrades. Mutalisk looking to get some damage, and one Thor able to receive many of those Mutalisks, and the one Mutalisk was easily shot down there. And so that Thor is starting to make up for its cost. And that Thor just going to continue to sit here, perhaps try to act as a deterrent agent and protect those SCVs. More Thors still being added to the rest of this army as well. The Thor is rather slow moving out, so once again the slowness of Terran mech. As a supply depot being added over here, the Zerglings perhaps did spot it and should be able to finish off this one SCV, trying to build it over here. Down cancels the supply depot, as the Marauders and the Marines are looking to finish off these sets of destructible rocks and reestablish a high level or high yield mineral expansion. Softball once again losing a lot of his units in that engagement there. Those Mutalisks are not very cheap, and with 2 Thors once again on the move, those Thors should be able to simply roll over and take over all of those Mutalisks in just an instant. We have, 5 Mutalisks in the air, a couple more Mutalisks now making their way out as well, joining the rest of this army, but the Marines offering so much protection, and the Mutalisks trying to finish off another siege tank. Down it goes. This hatchery has been destroyed or cancelled. as Thors are now on the move to try to take down this expansion here on the low ground. The rocks here have already been cleared out, so the Zerglings should be able to push in just a moment. Sen not really getting any gas off of this set of mineral patches, as the Mutalisk looking to get even more damage in. The Zerglings are now swarming in. The Marines are in a little bit of the back over there. You can see that the Thor is trying to run away, unable to do so, as so much damage is being dealt. Down goes another Thor, and the losses continue to rack up for DDE. And that is not a very, very friendly proposition, considering that Softball Sen has a stronger economy at this stage. Army, we are now seeing a 107 versus 109, as the Marines are able to stim in and go in pretty much unchallenged. Siege tanks once again need a siege up to offer protection against those banelings. Down goes another hatchery, but not much to really write home about, as Sen still running off of 2 bases and is a bit behind now. You can take a look at the harvester count, 60 versus 61. The Zerg really needs to be up in terms of bases in order to be able to macro up much more effectively and mine much more effectively. DDE setting up this command center here most likely will lift off and land it here in just a moment, as another hatchery being rebuilt in 2 locations at once. Sen wants to make sure that he does not run out of minerals. 8 additional Mutalisks now being added against the army of Thors that DDE currently has. We're going to have 4 Thors in play, but without that additional level 2 weapons upgrade, those Thors are not going to be able to 2-shot those Mutalisks, and that is going to definitely hurt them. As the Thors would essentially be, 33% more efficient at taking down a Mutalisk. More Mutalisks being added. It looks like a medevac going to drop this Thor up on the high ground in just a moment. Once more, there is also 1 missile turret nearby. The Thor wanting to offer some protection here, and the Mutalisk deciding to back off. We are now seeing that 9 Thors, sorry, not 9 Thors, 9 Mutalisks, and 14 Mutalisks in total. Or 20 Mutalisks in total, as more Mutalisks are now being added, an additional 5 Mutalisks in that flock right there. Zergling now on patrol between the 2 locations, trying to make sure that he is able to establish this expansion if need be, as the Mutalisks are now simply going to fly in and perhaps shut down those Marines. Down go a group of Marines. Is it going to shut down the reactor? Yeah, and now perhaps go after some of the other production buildings. It looks like this barracks will get taken down as well, as sixJax DDE is not going home and he is not returning to try to protect this location here. The Mutalisk finishing off 1 missile turret. Another round of missile turrets may get taken down. Down it goes, as 2 Thors able to get off a lot of damage onto those Mutalisks once more. You can see how much damage was dealt. Many of them in the red, and as long as they stay boxed up like that, they will continue to take much damage. No missile turrets along the north side at all, so it looks like those Mutalisks will be able to simply get a free flyby and perhaps get some additional SCVs as well. SCVs just falling by the wayside, as Sen looking very strong with his Mutalisks, getting even more worker kills, and now the Mutalisks are finally backing off. Planetary Fortress about to be completed. Only needs about 15 or more seconds now, perhaps down to 15 more seconds. I was going to say perhaps down to 10 in just a little bit. Marines are in position as well, as the Thor is getting off 2 rounds of attack. If the Thors were attacking the same target and had level 2 weapons upgrade, that would have been at least 2 to 3 dead Mutalisks. We are now getting even more and more Thors, or more weapons upgrade. Level 2 weapons upgrade will be completed in just a moment, as DDE has a very significant army advantage at this time. Taking a look at the harvester count, 52 to 59 though, so we'll see what becomes of that, as the siege tanks really need to blast away those banelings in order to offer some protection. Spine crawlers are also being warped in as well. It looks like another spine crawler going to get taken down. Zerglings trying to swarm. Zerglings now swarming across the map, going to try to finish off the rest of those units, and banelings going after those Marines with a vengeance, getting so much damage out. And wow, Sen just absolutely just happy to trade bases at this time, as I believe Sen had the smaller army at the start, and now the Mutalisks are looking to perhaps do a counterattack. We are going to have 1 planetary fortress here with that sensor tower nearby. I'm offering so much sight and scouting information to the center portion of the map. Softball sitting on about a 30 food advantage now, having a slight advantage in terms of overall SCVs, but having a significant advantage in terms of his army. About double the cost in minerals and more than double the cost in gas at this stage. Ultralisk Cavern now once again coming online. That Ultralisk Cavern will obviously allow Ultralisk to be trained. The Katona's plating offering an additional +2 armor, making it very difficult for Marines and even sometimes Marauders to get through that thick Zerg armor. 21 Marines currently in play. We are getting a flock of Mutalisks in the air over here. The Marines are going to come by, quickly shut that down, and oh, in comes a fungal growth, chain fungal growth, and so much damage is to be had. Siege tank just getting destroyed there. Another fungal growth coming in, and more damage being dealt. And this is where DDE has to really be careful. He is really far behind at this stage. And taking a look at his losses and his harvester count, 67 versus 61, and now with the infestors now being added, sixJax DDE needs to get even more upgrades as the Zerglings are now down over here. We are getting a lot of infestors, though infestors most likely will be able to get off some more fungal growths up in just a moment. As Mutalisks is still hiding off over here. We are going to have a large sea of Zerglings now make their way out. Perhaps get some damage onto a Marine. No, unable to do so as the Xel'Naga Watchtower pretty much revealing these infestors. And these infestors having a bit of a problem trying to fight back as the siege tanks have such a long range. Marines now shutting down this hatchery here. Down it goes with little to no resistance by Sen, as Sen realized that that one hatchery is not worth saving, as more Marines are now trying to finish off those Mutalisks, and the Mutalisks may be able to get off that last laugh. Yeah, down it goes. 3 Mutalisks left, no more Marines left. Level 3 Carapace upgrade now once again being restarted as the Katona's plating and Adrenal Gland is once again being re-added to the group. We can see SCVs are in position. You can see that there are a lot of the 2 mules currently in play, giving an even stronger economy to sixJax DDE as the infestors coming in, getting a chain fungal growth and shutting down so many workers there. That damage just absolutely hurts. 4,200. 50 versus 3750 and 1400 now. So army advantage definitely in favor of Sen. Resource advantage in favor of Sen. DDE does have to play this now absolutely perfectly if he wants to hope that Sen makes a mistake of some sort, as this hatchery now getting shelled and will get destroyed. Zerglings lying in wait as the infestors once again getting off another chain fungal growth and another chain fungal growth after that. More SCVs. Oh, one SCV down to 4 hit points. It could have been easily destroyed if the infestors were not as impatient as they were in order to... if they were not as impatient and just was able to get off one more fungal growth, perhaps 1 to 2 seconds later. Marines still in position here. We are getting some infestors down over here as well. The Marines are up on the high ground. Mutalisks trying to offer some protection onto those Marines. The Marines getting so much damage already as we are now pushing out over here. Ultralisks continuing to push their way through, and it looks like the Ultralisks are just going to add so much damage, and there's the GG by DDE. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 replay and game 2 in this series between Fnatic Sen and sixJax's DDE.